Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Leadnap Gaming. Today we're going to talk about editing the liveries for the Viggen. This is not a how to create liveries tutorial. I'm going to skip over a lot of those sorts of details. What this is really about is specifically working with the Viggen's files, and you're going to quickly see if you haven't already. I'm guessing if you searched for this, you probably did because you ran into the same problems everyone else does. So, to start with, to download them, I will put the link to this. I'll put a link to the forums to this. I actually saved it into my own drive, as you can see here. But here are the 5 files that you'll download and the instructions from the developer. Now, the developer's instructions are good, read them, but I actually do it differently because I found problems with the way that they had it. But there are potentially 1 or 2 things to know and to kind of source out in that. So, with that said, you'll download these. The way I have this set up is I have a edits folder in the directory that holds my games. So here's DCS, here's edits. Here's my color guide that tells me what colors I've selected so that I can quickly find them. I've got the downloads for ones I've downloaded from other people, but working in here, right, I've got my own developed stuff, and then I got liveries in progress. And then you can see here's the original files. We'll get to this little guy in a little bit. So, with that said, part 1, why do we have to do this? Well, we have to do this, and I'm actually going to intentionally open this one to kind of talk about the types here as we get going. We have to do this, and guys, I apologize. I'm running 16 gigs of RAM right now, and Photoshop struggles with these file sizes. My processor doesn't, though. It is happy as a clam, not even breaking 20%. So, anyhow, as we get going and we kind of bring this stuff up, and I brought this one up for a very specific reason. You can see kind of all the stuff, and then it gets worse because as you open these folders, there's more and more layers. So that's what this part is, but let's talk really quickly about the differences in these. So you got fuselage 1, fuselage 2, fuselage T, wing left 1, wing left 2. Are these the left and right sides of the aircraft? No. What this is, and let's use our module viewer here to take a look, and I'll use an example of a work in progress I have going that we're going to see plenty of today to show you the difference. Well, that loads. So fuselage 1 is 217 megabytes, fuselage 2 is a gig. And the difference is easily viewable here. One tip while we're at it. So you could make this big like everybody else does, except you have to do it every damn time. Or Z gets you down to the bottom of the first list, and there she is, right? So we'll go ahead and load up the one I'm working on. And the reason for that is this. We flip her over. So this wing that I'm working on now is a _2, or the 2 file. The other side was my original version, which I made out of the 1, and you can see the detail difference. Now, there's a lot more weathering available in the 2, but there's also just a little more, like you see some more rivet lines that don't exist. This is the beginnings of a simplified version. So what do I mean by that? Well, the Viggen's a work in progress, at least as this video is being made, and the developer hasn't released a simplified version, right? If we go download from DCS, those are all simplified maps, which they've condensed layers and everything like that to make it so that they're much easier to work with. The developer isn't wasting time doing that for us yet because they're trying to make the Viggen no longer a work in progress, which I thank them for. And I'm actually glad they gave us these. These are their actual original working files that have just been shared out to us. And what you can see in that is the bad habits of the developer. You're going to see my bad habits today, so don't worry. It's not an insult or anything like that to them, but I actually prefer it this way. We get to get. I'm going to come back to this. We get, right? So you know, strengtheners. Here's all the different little components. So I can turn on, so if we look right here as I do this, right, you can see just the kind of added details and stuff. That's all this stuff is. That's the fuselage one has almost 1,000 layers. You can see the layer I'm working on is 958. Okay. These are huge, complex files. Once opened up, you see I'm hitting almost 9 gigs. But I'm happy that we got those because these give you so much more control than you would ever get in a different one. I can make everything and nothing up here, which is awesome. So the developer says, right, to start in one, create your livery, and then copy it over into the two, where most of the detail stuff is. And that makes sense. This is a much smaller file to work with. At least on the fuselage ones, though, I found out there is an offset. I brought them over, and things didn't line up. Which creates a whole lot more extra work. I just edit them in the 2 file now. The only thing which it's in the 2 is these front formation lights. I haven't figured out where they are yet. I'm not worried about that for right now. They appear in my models when I make them, when I want them to. So, what do I do, and how do I make this work? Which this is probably the biggest thing of why I'm making this video. So, as you can see, unfortunately in the wing one, but I've already edited the other ones, these are all open. I've re-downloaded the wing one for this. So they're all on. So what I do is I color the ones that are on red. And you can see when I'm working over here, right, what's red and what isn't. And you can see that there was a lot that wasn't red. And that helps me to turn them off, right? Because I just turn all this stuff off. I can turn off decals. And just get to the kind of the liveries, which we're going to get to in a moment. You can kind of read through screws. This is the screws on the aircraft. You'll notice they get lighter and darker, right? Screw streaks, same idea. Everything gets a little more defined with that on. Dirt pass. Clean aircraft, dirty aircraft, right? It's pretty easy to figure out what these things are. But what I like to do is leave just this bottom layer on, which is what you're looking at. And then liveries, this folder, right, is where all the paint schemes are. So you can see right here, M90, M90 Winter. This, which may or may not show up just because of, there it is, yep. So you can see here, I can turn on and off the Swedish roundel. This should actually be, this is what I'm talking about, it's up in decals. That's where all the roundels are and stuff like that. And we're going to cover that in a few minutes. But so I come in, I created a custom folder, and then inside that custom folder, here's my standard, here's the desert one I'm working on now. And then all I do, right, is turn them on. Now you'll notice my opacity is at 55%, and the reason for that is, in order, you could just turn on, I want to say on this one it's capital VAR, yep, to see kind of some of the outline details. That's great. I like to leave this bottom base layer on because I don't worry about things above my layer. And then I just change my opacity down so that I can see what I'm painting on, right? When I save it, I bump the opacity all the way back up. But while I'm working in here, I kind of bring down the opacity like this so that I can kind of do it. Now, I also like to have, you can see here my top, but you can see where I'm bleeding over. I've got my top, and I've got the underbody portions of the aircraft as well. I keep them separate and the under on top because you can see it allows me to block out really the working layer. Most under portions of your fuselage and wings are all a single color, so it makes sense that that's the layer above. And then the nose, yeah, so the nose copy should be on top. Should sit above all because it sits out as its own element. So that's kind of how I did that. And you just kind of got to work with things and drop them back into the model viewer You know, like I spent a lot of time getting all of these seams to line up. You know, and this vent is not a part of this panel. So you have to come in here, it's right here actually. Let's drop our opacity down so that we can kind of talk about, oh, sorry. So, which brings us to the next kind of tip and trick I have for you guys. What is all of this? Right? Some of these are kind of easy, especially because we have the danger thing on here. We know this is the ram scoop. This is obviously the front of the aircraft and the nose. But, like, what is this? And these and this, right? What are these things? Well, I have a way to help you do that. Simply create yourself a demo layer. You can see I did the top and the bottom, right? And I just went through and painted pretty much everything different colors. I didn't paint all the little things different colors, which did come back to bite me in the ass a little bit. Like you'll remember, all of this stuff is now uniform brown. But, as you've probably already deduced as I load this, bam, now I know. I just refer to this and I say, okay, I'm looking for this gold strip. Oh, that's right here. Then I just come down here and I edit it to be what I want it to be. Now some of this, like this right here, is this blue part. And you'll notice that it's fat over here and skinny over here. But it's fat over here and skinny over here. It's inverted. This is the bottom. This is the top. This is the little collision light. So you do kind of have to paint in these. Like I said, because all of these were the same color brown, I didn't know these are the scoops for right here and right here, exhausts really. And this one goes here. This one goes here. What are these things, you might be wondering? Those are these. And again, because you're working left side, right side, you've got the top ones and the bottom ones, and you have the top of it. Sorry, I keep doing that, and the bottom of it. This is the lower one. This is the upper one. And what side goes up and down? I don't know. I don't care. I just paint them all the same color anyways. This once you're inside the scoop. Same thing for like this. This right here is this right here. It is not this. So if you're doing a pattern, you have to match it to this and to this and to that, depending on what you're trying to get done and do. So, but that's an easy way to kind of figure that part out and paint it. So on to kind of some of our final tips here. Right, so I have my working folder where I'm working on stuff. And then you have the actual DCS world installed files, which for me are on this D drive. An important note, your boot drive also, if they're different from each other, right? I have users, saved games, DCS, right? Your liveries to be in game must be in here. Your liveries, some people have put them in the core mods folder. Apparently that works too, but updates could erase them. In order to work with the object viewer, they have to be in here. And as you can see, right, so when I'm in here, like if I go there now, right, I've got to come out to DCS edits, to games, to DCS world, to core mods, to aircraft, AJS37, to liveries, and to here, and save it. When you're saving these, right, so again, this is how if you want to make multi-tone ones, right? So if we're working on lining up this right here with this right here, because again, this brown part here is a cutout, we have to save it. Save as, right? This is why this is important. Here's the original location of these. I could go all the way out, or I could take my shortcut right to it. Bam. Now I can save this fuselage and get right back into it. And then I can reload this, which if you guys know, please tell me in the comments. I always have to just close this and restart it once I save it, which really sucks. Right, and then you load it, and then you come in and you say, yeah, it's lined up how I want it to be. Now you guys will notice, like, yeah, it ain't perfect. You can go be a little perfectionist all you want, and keep doing this, and yeah, you just keep making little changes and coming back in. This is separate from this and separate from this. This is not part of this. So there's a line right here. This is one part, this is one part, this is one part, this is one part. So you guys will see how you kind of got to really tinker and edit with those. But that's what this shortcut is for. It's just to speed up this save, go, save, go, save, go, save, go, save, go process that I've got going. And like I said, just remember where you're saving them and putting them. And then just kind of the final piece of this for you guys I got. So and this is a good one because they're currently different, right? Each of these represents one side of the aircraft. As you can see here, I've edited the fuselage side on the left, but not the right. I've edited the large delta wing on the left, but not the right, and I haven't even begun on the small ones or the tail wing. So this is the same file for left and right. This is the same file for left and right. This is the same file regardless because it does all of it. Easiest way to really do this, right, is steal one of their liveries. Just copy the whole thing, paste it, rename it. Inside description. Oh God. Every time, even though it's checked, right? This is where it's telling it to find these as it's in the game. Look for this file name in here. This is where you'll actually name it as it'll appear in the game. This is the countries it's applied to. I always put mine to Israel and Poland as well because I always know I can find them there, and a lot of people don't make skins for those. Liveries, same difference. You can tinker with this if you want, but this is the better way to do it, and then just save over. If it's a monotone colored plane, like my green one is, copy and paste over, and just rename them left and right. In Photoshop though, and this is right, the left and right sides, if you're doing different patterns, then yeah, you're going to have them different. But if you have a just standard, like if I run my standard green one, right? My standard green one, the aircraft is the same color green on both sides. I didn't really mean to bring this in, so right. It's the same color green on all sides and the same markings on all sides for the most part. So the fuselage files are the same. The wing files are 100% the same. The fuselage, though, can differ, and this is where it differs. So Decals is the other folder where you're going to add customizations. Again, you see I have my custom one, but this is where, for example, oh, there's our. So here, we're going to save this to put it back out in the game. Once we're done editing and going crazy, and you can decide if you don't want it looking dirty, you know, you turn some of those off, go crazy, figure it out, right? But come on. So you notice all of the little sign and placards came on. There they are again. But you'll notice there's some different ones that appear on this side on one. This is the right side of the fuselage. This is the left side of the fuselage. I renamed it Standard L. It just said new decals before. No, if you couldn't figure it out from their naming convention, right, everything they worked on was left and then they created a exception for right. But all you would do, if we're doing the left side of our aircraft, is turn the left side decals on. Again, you can go in here, turn on the ones you want, the ones you don't. These are all different little signs and placards. This is also usually where the numbers appear, except in this one they're down here under liveries. In the 1 version, they are up in decals because that's where they belong. But this is where you come in, for example, this is where I see, there's my roundel. So you would put them in, but basically, if we're doing the left side of the aircraft, right, we're going to save it as fuselage left. Come back in, change it over to the right ones, save it as the right one. And that way you get the signs on this side are for that one side. You'll notice these ones only appear on one side of the aircraft. And there you go. So it's that easy. That's how it's done. Like I said, this is not a tutorial for doing all kinds of other stuff, but this is just to kind of help people with the Viggen itself, because yeah, these files are huge. They're really confusing, especially if you're newer or less experienced in Photoshop. I have a degree in it, and I'm still confused by it. Especially, I'm new to the CC version. I have a purchased version back on my Mac, which I used all through school. So, but just understand, the last thing I didn't quite cover with all of these is bare metal. The bare metal ones, these are if you're not doing paint. There's a slightly different model to give it the proper diffusion and stuff like that. You can see there's different light effects applied to it to give it the correct look if it were just bare metal. So there you have it. Like I said, not a how to do liveries, but a how to kind of get them going on the Viggen. It's confusing, but hopefully this helped out. Let me know down in the comments if you've got suggestions or other ideas. If you have other questions, feel free, throw them in the comments, shoot me an email. Hit me up on the forums. I'm pretty new to the DCS forums though. Obviously new to making content for DCS, but it was just kind of something that I felt like I've seen a lot of confusion on. Kind of had some tips and tricks to share. So don't forget to hit subscribe. More content coming soon, and I will catch you guys next time.